What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about the Atlanta Ripper murders. Jack the Ripper, of course, is the most famous and well-known of all killers, dubbed the Ripper Killers, but he's far from being the only one. And Atlanta, Georgia in the 1910s had their own, who was actually just as gruesome, just as vicious, and even more prolific than Jack himself. So the Atlanta Ripper murders spanned from 1910 to 1914, claiming between 15 to 21 victims in all. And it was believed to have started with the discovery of the body of a woman named Maggie Brooks, who had been beaten and her skull crushed. She was beaten very severely. Her skull was crushed. The next victim would be found on January 22nd, a woman named Rosa Trice. Rosa Trice also had her skull crushed and her throat was slashed. A few weeks later, after these two women, there was another unknown woman found, also with her skull crushed and throat slashed. It was clear by now that there was a serial killer with this gruesome modus operandi on the streets of Atlanta, and the style of killings wasn't the only MO of the Ripper. All the victims were black or dark-skinned women, mostly in their 20s. They were attractive and neatly dressed as they were described, and there was also the odd detail of the killer supposedly taking some of their shoes. He would cut their shoes off of the body, and in one case he actually took their shoes away. No one knows exactly why he did this with the shoes or what the purpose of it was. But there was another thing that the newspapers noted, was that the killer struck, as they said, like clockwork, always on a Saturday. So on May 28 in 1911, Belle Walker was found 25 yards from her home. She also, again, had her skull crushed and her throat was slashed. 4 weeks later, another woman named Addie Watts was found in the same way. So again, this was the Ripper's favorite way of killing. He would come behind a woman, he would beat them with something about the head to basically knock them out, and then he would slash their throat. Another thing is that police said that all of the victims showed no signs of any struggle. On July 1st in 1911, the Ripper killed a woman named Lena Sharp, who had gone out shopping at a local market. And when she didn't return home, her daughter Emma Lou became worried and she went looking for her. When Emma Lou went out looking for her mother, she didn't find her. She was going back home. As she was going back home, she was approached by a man who asked her how she was doing. She got nervous, and because she knew about the Ripper murders going on. One of her neighbors actually was a victim of the Ripper. Addie Watts was a victim of the Ripper, and when Emma Lou tried to get away from this man, he actually said to her, "Don't worry, I never hurt girls like you." After he said this to her, he blocked her way, and when she got around him and tried to leave, he stabbed her in the back and left her body for dead. Shortly after, her mother was found with her throat slashed, Lena Sharp, and she had her throat slashed so deep that she was almost decapitated. And it was Lena Sharp's daughter, Emma, who got a good look at the guy, and she described him as a neatly dressed, large black man. One particularly vicious killing was that of a woman named Mary Putnam on November 21st in 1911. She, again, also like all the other victims, had her skull crushed and her throat was slashed. But her heart was removed and placed next to her, and she was also disemboweled. Very eerily similar to the victims of Jack the Ripper, who loved to mutilate his victims. This Ripper also seemed to be carrying that torch of Jack the Ripper. And another victim of the Ripper was a woman named Elle Maddox, who was beaten so badly that her skull was caved in. And she actually survived for a little while. He didn't slash her throat for some reason. But when detectives actually went to the hospital to question her about any information that she could give them, all she said was, "He ran up behind me and hit me then, and that was it." After she said that, she passed away, and they had nothing else to go on. Throughout the Ripper's spree, many men in the area were arrested. Many men who fit the description of the Ripper were arrested and questioned. There were six suspects in particular that attracted the police's suspicion, and of these, one man, Todd Henderson, was actually identified by Emma Lou, the girl who saw the Ripper who killed her mother and attacked her, stabbed her in the back. She identified Todd Henderson as the man who stabbed her. Henderson was also spotted in a drugstore with another victim, a woman named Sadie Holly. And the night that Sadie Holly was murdered, he was spotted in a drugstore with her. So he was obviously a very strong suspect in the case, but the evidence against him was supposedly deemed circumstantial and eventually was dropped. The murders eventually came to an end, just like Jack the Ripper murders, and also like Jack the Atlanta Ripper disappeared into obscurity and was never brought to justice. This is a little known case. Not many people are aware of the Ripper killers, Ripper killings of Atlanta. This was an interesting case to look into. I hope you liked it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Stay slashing.